So last night I started filming this video and I couldn't find the perfect place to sit, so I started filming it in a bathtub. And it was really rambly and unprofessional and boring, and there was just a weird sound of my shoe rubbing against the bathtub the entire time, so that whole thing had to be deleted, which feels stupid now, but I'm doing it again. And I have decided to do a video about INTP memes, specifically around feelings. Okay, so meme reaction. Let's start. I got the idea for this video from the last video I made about my feelings and how I find it difficult to figure them out, and I find it difficult to figure out where they come from, why I'm feeling that way, what I need to do to improve it, or make it go away, or and I still struggle with it. I think I did sort of figure out what was bothering me 2 days ago, so I've dealt with that accordingly as good as I can, and I'm feeling good today. I feel motivated, I feel energetic, I feel ready. INTP thought of the day. I don't understand why you want me to get emotional about my feelings. Very spot on. I think we find, okay, I'm gonna talk about myself. I'm not gonna talk about INTPs because we're all individual people with different interests and different maturity levels and different emotional intelligence levels, and everything is different about us. We do share the same cognitive functions, and that's that. I'm talking about myself as an INTP. I like talking about my feelings, but I don't really like getting emotional about them. I feel like that's an understandable thing to prefer, to want to do. It's just easier that way because emotions get in the way of a conversation or get in the way of a thought process because they just take up everything. The moment I get emotional and I want to start crying, well, it takes up all of my attention because I'm so embarrassed, or I feel silly, or I try to understand that as well because sometimes I cry and sometimes I don't. Why? So annoying. INTP and time management. I'm going to spend the day working on my research and getting all of this academic stuff done. But also me, I only have 50 pages left in my sci-fi book. Look at my laundry piling up. I should address that, and I should definitely nap so I can be at my best when I start work. Oh, I should go to the gym and get groceries. Start planning your lives, INTPs. It's not difficult, and have someone keep you accountable. I think planning is easy, but following the planning is difficult. Yes, but I think if you're doing what you like doing and if you do what you love, which not everyone has the luxury to do, I understand that, but if you are doing what you like and what you love, you're only putting yourself at a disadvantage. INTPs are basically cats. They can be entertained by a box for hours, will knock things over just to see what happens, will only interact with you on their terms, looks at the rest of the world in disdain. I can't really agree with much of that, to be honest. I am very picky about when I interact with people and how I interact with them. I want it to be on my terms, definitely, and that goes for everyone. I mean, I don't ignore someone when they try to talk to me and it's not on my terms, but it's more uncomfortable for me then. INTP relationship struggles. INTPs also struggle in relationships. Developing friendships can be difficult for INTPs due to their social reluctance or awkwardness. INTPs also have the ability to project a personal or a certain persona to people, playing the chameleon while hiding their true feelings or beliefs. Furthermore, maintaining friendships can also be problematic due to the INTP's tendency to disappear or withdraw for lengthy periods, often without warning or explanation. This is the most true one I've read so far. I think it's really important to build, I mean, you can't build your family's there, but to build a friend circle, or social life in which you can be yourself, because it's very draining to keep up that persona the whole time. It's very sad that so many of us do that. I've also had times in my life where that was the majority of my day, was living with the persona and not, actually showing who I myself am. And honestly, some days a persona was just being quiet and not showing any kind of reaction or not saying anything, because I would be too afraid of how people would react to who I actually am and what I would actually say as me. Rough times. It still happens. It's not, I don't think you're ever 100% yourself. Or I don't think I've ever been 100% myself. I mean, there's people very close to you that you might be 90% or 95% yourself with, but I think people are lying if they're saying they're 100% themselves all the time. That's just impossible in my opinion. You know you're an INTP when the very thought of being ESFJ makes you shudder. Okay, I understand this, but if you look at the function stack of an INTP and the function stack of an ESFJ, isn't it reversed? I think it's basically like a mirror image in a way. At least the first 4 functions are a mirror image of one another. And I think there's a lot of value in that. I actually have a very close friend who's ESFJ, and I understand her thinking very well and she understands my thinking very well, but we would never think like one another. Like, I would never think the way she does. I go home and I'm relieved that I'm in my own brain, and I'm sure she goes home and she's relieved that she gets to be with her own brain and not with mine, if that makes sense. It sounds really sad, but I mean, it's not, we're friends, we want the best for one another, so it's not a problem. I feel grateful to have someone like that in my life, because everything that I don't really value, she values, and everything she doesn't value, I value, so we kind of fill each other out quite well. You know you're an INTP when you actually plan something and intend on carrying it out. The plan must be meticulous and executed to perfection. Yes, it's very upsetting if I cannot do exactly what I wanted to do according to my plan. What's the point? You know you're an INTP when your imagination is always far more interesting than anything happening in reality. Interesting to me, not interesting to anyone else or everybody else. Maybe some people, but not everybody else. I think we need to stop putting our brain or our intellect or our imaginations on a pedestal. It's not, what's going on in our heads isn't genius, it's just what we're thinking. Especially if you're not I'm not the biggest overachiever, I'm not the smartest person ever. It's not just because Albert Einstein was an INTP and he apparently had a high IQ doesn't mean all INTPs have a high IQ, and I know we all know that, but still I feel like there's this unhealthy way of thinking around, oh, I'm an INTP, INTPs are usually smart, therefore I'm smart. No, just because you think what's going on in your brain is gold doesn't mean everyone else does. But this is true for myself, and I mean, whatever's going on in your head, you'd rather pay attention to, usually, because that's what's important to you, but it's not what's important to someone next to you. So listen when other people are talking to you. Don't keep thinking about your own stuff, because that's rude. I'm learning that the hard way. You know you're an INTP when once you figure out the person you like, you grow bored of them. So I've had a handful of crushes or people that I was interested in as a teenager, but I never really got to know them well. They would just kind of stay this person in my head, this person I thought that they were. And the moment I found out who they really were, they were suddenly unattractive to me, so that was interesting. That's what I can say about that. You know you're an INTP when you will go through entire conversations without making eye contact. Yes, not a good thing. I think you don't need to make eye contact 100% of the time, but you need to make some eye contact. I think that's something we can all improve on. You know you're an INTP when you get annoyed when personality tests aren't what they're supposed to be and you retake the test to prove your point. Yes, just don't manipulate tests or don't take bad tests. I've spoken about badly set up tests before, where you can kind of see through the questions and see what they're asking. They're probably asking in a certain question whether you're a perceiver or a judger. They're not asking that explicitly, but the question is so badly set up that it's just so obvious that the question is based on those two letters, or any other letters for that matter. Only do good tests, and only do the tests a handful of times in your life. Don't keep doing them. There's no point. Rather research the topic of cognitive functions and actually learn more about which ones you relate to and type yourself than have a test type you 3 different times, 3 different types. That's not ideal. You know you're an INTP when your response to things is either a reserved or jumping up and down with childlike excitement. There is nothing in between. I can relate to that. I've learned how to alter my reactions to what people say to make me seem more interested or more impressed with what they're saying. And that's not because it sounds like I'm lying, but I'm not. Like I'm just reacting how I should be reacting, because I do find it interesting. But I find it interesting in here. I'm not necessarily going to show it here on my face, or I'm not going to show it in my body language. But what you're saying about that thing that you just said is interesting. I'm just not going to necessarily lift my eyebrows or start smiling or something. I'm not necessarily going to do that unless I really feel the emotion for some reason. So I usually alter my responses just to accommodate the person I'm listening to. You know you're an INTP when you had to double and triple check to make sure that you are in fact an INTP. That's not a bad thing. I think that's a good thing. If you type yourself wrong and you live like that, thinking that's the way you are, that can be problematic. So rather know yourself and know your weaknesses specifically and work on them specifically. Work on them one at a time, and not, you know, it's like being misdiagnosed with an illness. I feel you can't treat something you don't have. So just double check what you are. You know you're an INTP when you never completely finish things. There is always something left undone. Yes, but nothing is ever done. Nothing. I feel like something can always be improved. That's all I have for today. Thank you for watching. I hope I seemed more interesting in this video and I wasn't as sad and down and boring and all the synonyms for those words. Subscribe if you'd like to see more, and please comment and like and let me know if you like these types of videos where I react to things or where I share my personal experiences as an INTP. I do enjoy doing that. Just give me topics and I'll do it. Thank you for watching. Bye. I'm not done. Why, you ask? I started out reading memes about INTP feelings and I just ended up reading random memes. I don't know why I did that. That was so weird. I just lost sight of the whole theme of the video. So I'm not done. I'm gonna do a few more, okay? So, just a few more. Specifically about feelings, if that's okay. I feel bad. But to be honest, I just found a few more very interesting ones, so enjoy. And you're welcome. I'm gonna find them. I think it's like 3, it's not even many, but it's 2 long ones and a short one, so here we go. Okay, just wanna make space for the meme, or for the, why am I calling it memes? It's not memes, it's just infographics. info, you know what I mean. So what do feelings feel like to an INTP? It depends on the feeling. An overwhelming hollowness at the core of our being, a constant sense of loneliness and isolation, combined with a strong desire to want to find someone with whom we can truly connect, general annoyance at people in general, frustration, often perceived as anger by those who don't know us, an overwhelming and extremely primal rage when we're actually pushed to anger, crippling sadness, equally incapacitating as the rage, but without an outward outlet. But overall, mostly we experience indifference, which turns to apathy if an INTP becomes depressed. That was a lot. I cannot speak to all of these. I will speak to the ones that I can speak to. So I'm going to start with the first one. An overwhelming hollowness at the core of our being. I think this has been misunderstood as depression by some people. It's something I definitely considered. And it might still be that, I don't know. I'm not saying it's not. But I've felt that hollowness, and what I felt the past few days was definitely that. But I feel like there's usually a source, there's usually a reason. And we don't always need a reason to feel down. I don't think we do, but I feel like there was one for me, and I wanted to find it and figure it out and just work through it, you know, and just talk to someone about it and just get through it. I think it's important, because if you want to talk to someone about your feelings, you kind of have to know what you're going to say to them, and you have to know. It's very important to me to verbalize why I'm feeling what I'm feeling, because that's how I deal with it. And if I can't say whatever I'm feeling in words and why I'm feeling it, I don't feel like there's a point to sharing my feelings. I can also relate to the general annoyance at people in general. It's something I really struggle with. Everyone's little bad habits and everyone's little quirks usually annoy the hell out of me, but I try to ignore it because I don't have very polite ways of addressing it. So I just ignore it, because you can't control adults, you can't tell them what not to be. Except if they're your partner, then it's different and you can talk to them. But I've figured out how to do that politely most of the time, not always. It's a very sad one, this one. I'm going to stop reading because I can only really relate to those two. This is a long one. The emotions of others. INTPs are logic-based individuals, enjoying to focus on a deeper understanding of everything. They strive to understand the motives of people, often making them very good at knowing who they can trust. Although INTPs often understand people's actions and motives, they struggle with understanding emotions. When people express feelings, it may make the INTP feel uncomfortable and unsure how to react. They often have a deep sense of caring, making them feel awkward about how to navigate situations where people are upset. Too much emotional expression from people will often cause the INTP to feel very drained. They will often attempt to listen, but become frustrated when they do not know exactly how to respond. Attempting to constantly apply logic to emotions can cause the INTP to become frustrated with themselves and others. When someone is upset, the INTP may try to help by figuring out logical solutions, which can sometimes bother others. Okay, this is the age-old problem that people blame men for, is that men try to solve their problems, and that's not what they want. They want men to listen. And I think this is the same issue with, I don't know, INTPs and types like them. We just need to learn how to listen. It's not difficult. Listen to someone, sympathize with them, empathize with them. It's a skill. You learn how to do it. It's not that difficult. I did. I've got a lot of feelers in my life, like, you know, a lot of people who are introverted feelers, extroverted feelers. If I didn't learn that skill early on, I wouldn't have had such good relationships with these people. And the important part is these people are sometimes in my family, so it's not like I can just ignore them. You know, you have to learn how to communicate with someone close to you, and you have to build that relationship irrespective of what you what you think they should be doing differently based on what you like or what you prefer doing in your brain. It's so unfair of us to expect that people have to listen to our logical solutions to their emotional problems. It's really, I think it's very immature of an INTP to expect that. I think we need to learn the skill. I think it's easy. I don't think it's difficult. I think anyone can learn a skill. Yes, they can learn how to deal with things logically, just as we can learn to how to deal with emotions in a sympathetic and empathetic way. Let's talk about our own emotions. INTPs struggle even more with understanding their own emotions. They very strongly attempt to apply logical reasoning behind their feelings, which can be difficult. I can agree with that. When the INTP cannot seem to reason away their thoughts, they find themselves attempting to ignore them completely. They do not want to be seen as emotional, often not wanting to feel people's judgment. I just want to come in there quickly. I've ignored my feelings and emotions in the past. It hasn't been a good thing, so I've learned how to deal with them a bit more upfront and a bit, earlier than I usually did. I don't want people to see me as an emotional person. It's not because I look down on people who are emotional in general. It's because I don't want to be emotional in general. It's like you don't really prefer being perceived that way. We all like to be perceived in a certain way. It's just what we want. They do feel emotions on a really deep level, a very real and deep level, which can make them even more anxious about them. They want to be able to understand themselves, which can be a struggle when their emotions do not seem completely logical. INTPs do best when they are capable of processing how they are feeling in their own time. Yes. When people attempt to force INTPs to express emotion, it can become extremely frustrating for them. They want to express these emotions in a safe and patient environment. It may take them some time, but eventually they are very capable of figuring out what is going on with their emotions. Okay, I can attest to this. It works. I'm not good at it yet, but I'm doing it, and it's working. You have to take your time with yourself. We don't always have the time, I do understand that, but even if you just go silent for a bit and you just kind of introspect and you're just patient with yourself and you're less hard on yourself for what you're feeling, that's already a step in the right direction. And maybe identify someone in your life that you can share these thoughts with and these feelings with. With my husband, I would usually say things that I'm feeling and thinking about the feelings. I would say out loud, so he can kind of give his input, and then I can kind of get feedback and understand the problem better, because someone else will always think differently about something than the way they will think differently about it than you would. So it might give you a lot of extra knowledge about what you're feeling, and it might even solve the problem in the long run. Last one. Dealing with the elusive INTP female. Remember that she already processes emotions at a deeply intense level, but once a month she has to deal with a tsunami of them. Best to give lots of space until the flood subsides. INTP females, I'm sure you can relate. Yes, this is true. You feel normal most of the month, and then suddenly it's like you were never normal. So I can relate to this. So yes, that's it. That's what I wanted to share. Thank you for watching. Please leave your comments down below. I find them very interesting. I really do read them. Please leave them down below. Bye.